Joe, thanks for joining me on this really important mini series, taking care of your finances during this COVID-19 crisis. I appreciate you coming on, and I'm always happy to kind of pick your brain and chat with you, two money nerds, about, how to make your finances work for what's going on in your life.
Well, thanks for having me. It's always a good time coming on and being able to, share what we know and kind of look at different situations and see how we can help people through them the best way possible. So, I wish it was a better scenario, but
yeah,
still always a good opportunity to talk about things and, the situation that's in front of us and how everybody's adapting.
Exactly. And I know we've always been talking about how your finances really reflect what's going on in your life. And especially, like you mentioned, it's not a good situation, whether it's directly being affected by COVID or maybe the stay at home and your finances, your hours are cut, or some situation has changed. We have to adapt our finances because our situations have changed. And so today I wanted to talk to you about something that a lot of people have either recently received or they're about to receive through the paper, which is the stimulus check. And we all are trying to make the most out of it because the goal of this mini series is not just to survive and make it through, but hopefully to get into a better place financially, getting those habits and those systems into place. So I kind of wanted to talk to you about that. When a family gets a stimulus check, a couple, maybe it's just the two of them, or maybe they have some kids. How can they best use it? And I want to break it down, if you don't mind, into different scenarios because I think your priorities shift based on where you are. And the first one are those who are hardest hit, those who are unemployed, or maybe they're down to one income. What are some ways or things to consider with using their stimulus check?
So I think if you're in that situation, you're unemployed or you've seen, you're down to just that single income, and it might not be half. It might be the smaller of the two incomes.
Yeah.
No, I'm assuming no savings in this situation. So what I would do is I would focus on those core expenses. Your food, your medicine, any of your bills that aren't able to be deferred. Unfortunately, we're in a situation right now where lenders and utilities and landlords are all able to be flexible with collecting money from people. So there is some flexibility with a lot of that, but there are still some bills that you simply can't push off.
Yeah.
So focus on those core expenses in the short term. Make sure that those are covered because not paying those maybe going to get you into a deeper situation. If there's one income, you have to think about things like, do you need gas and maintenance and car insurance to continue to get that person who's earning that income to and from work, and do that. So you're going to want to make sure that that's part of whatever your short-term budget is as well. And then, if so, that's going to be a priority. Then, of course, seek help on some of your other expenses.
Yeah.
What can be deferred? I know we talked about it a little bit before, but a lot of lenders are flexible on mortgages right now, or auto loans or other types of loans. If you're renting, talk to your landlord. Can they be flexible on rent? Chances are they're getting some relief on the mortgage side on the back end. So can they be flexible with you on the rent for the short term as well? Do you have any loans that can be deferred? Are your utilities able to help you restructure, go to a fixed plan or even push your payments out a couple months? See if that's something that's available to you as well. So, it's not just about the money that's sitting in your account right now when you get that check, but, money that you might have otherwise had to pay out that maybe you can get a little bit of short-term relief on.
Yeah. And I think you bring up several good points, especially when we're talking about seeking assistance. Being proactive is absolutely going to be key. If you can, we talked about last time when we had the podcast about the federal, like the CARES Act, there were some protections there. We also mentioned, like, for here in North Carolina, there were some state level protections, like no evictions, and also protecting with foreclosures. So be aware of what's going on. And then also community partners. I know you guys over at Coastal have been really active. I was just seeing the Restaurant Worker Relief Fund is available. They have a waiting list, but still they're processing, they're getting through, they're getting the aid. So, definitely be proactive, see what's available in your industry. And then, of course, make sure you are communicating to all your financial institutions. And like you mentioned, bills, landlords, they can work with you, but you can't hide. Even if you can do a partial payment, something that you can work out together is better than just being silent on that. And then I noticed you guys also donated to United Way, organizations like that, the food pantry, anywhere you can tap in and close that gap between like your expenses and the income that is coming in is absolutely key. So those are really good points, Joe. I appreciate that.
Yeah, if somebody goes to our website and goes to we've got a COVID-19 landing page. It's hard to miss. There's a big image for it on the front page, but linked from that page is we've assembled a list of community resources. So it's a lot of our
nice.
Community partners, and it shows who they are, links to their website, and what they're doing to help the public with some relief right now. So, and you don't have to be a Coastal member to take advantage of any of that. It's out there available for everybody. So. It is specific to our area. But if you are in North Carolina, particularly in the Triangle area, and you want to look for some community resources that are available, that is an option that's out there, that a list that we've curated for both our members and the public.
Well, that's much appreciated. I think that's kind of the hard part. It's like, what do I qualify for? What's out there? So I'm glad you have that resource, because even though you might say it's like local, but still gives you ideas. If you're in another area, see what your state has. And also check, I know you've partnered up. I've seen you on the news channel a few times for interviews. Local news stations also have like resources, and you can get briefings and see what the state offers as well. So thanks for mentioning that, Joe. I know another situation that we have is maybe both are still working. It might be reduced hours, but they're both working, and right now things are okay. But they kind of worried, like, should one of them lose hours or lose a job? What are some ways that they can use that stimulus check to kind of ride things through?
I think in that situation, it's pretty simple and straightforward. I'm saving it. Things might be going okay now. Maybe it's an opportunity to get started on that emergency fund. A lot of people are having to tap into theirs right now. So if you don't have one, maybe go ahead and start that emergency fund. But at the very least, I would say just, hold on to it. If things continue to decline, you may have one income or two incomes currently, but if you don't have any savings set aside, then you might need that later on. You don't know if there is or is not going to be another stimulus down the road, or how quickly things are going to open back up, or even when they do, how soon people will go back to work. So I would say that, if you're continuing to work, but you don't have any savings, I would go ahead and just save it, commit to saving it.
Yeah. Definitely. And I have a question for you, because I know we all are pretty much on the debt-free wagon, train, try to reduce unnecessary debt. So say if a couple doesn't have like 3 months saved or whatever, and they get the stimulus check, they put it into savings. Do you think it's a good idea to kind of just pause? I mean, pay the minimums, of course. We're not trying to get in the hole. A pause on their like debt-free journey to build up the savings to a certain point, or is it okay to continue like paying down the debt? What would you suggest, or things to consider?
There's a couple different ways you can go with this. It really depends on what your priorities are, and really what your opinion is. Personally, I'm going to say save it.
I'm kind of in that boat too.
I am all for paying down debt, but I don't have a crystal ball, and looking ahead, I don't know what's going to happen the next 3 to 6 months. So I'm going to err on the side of caution on this one and say I'm rather going to save it. And then if things get better quickly, and you want to then go back and take that stimulus money and throw it toward paying down a debt, then absolutely go ahead and do that. But for right now, cash is king. I'm saying save it.
I kind of feel the same way. More cautious, just to be on the safe side. And like you said, like if things are going well, or even as you're bumping up your savings, you're like, okay, I think we're good. Then you can put a little extra, because now you have that savings. Now you have that financial cushion. So I was just curious. I know you're kind of like me with, let's skip the unnecessary debt. But I was just wanting to get your take on that. So we've talked about those that are kind of making ends meet, and those that right now things are okay, but they don't have any savings. I'd like to talk about maybe a better scenario, if you can say that, in this situation, is both spouses are working, their income has not changed, and they do have some savings. Um, in that situation, what are some ways you would recommend using that stimulus check?
Again, I'm still going to save it this time.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to say I can go out and, again, put
Mm-hmm.
it toward paying down a debt,
Mm-hmm.
or, and of course I can't give investment advice, but even investing it,
Mm-hmm.
I still think in this situation, I'm going to, wait to see what happens. Even if things feel like they're going well in the short term, there's always the
Mm-hmm.
possibility that this is going to continue to drag out and things are going to potentially still get worse.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a little bit optimistic on this.
Yeah.
I think we've kind of, we've gotten used to the situation. We're starting to see the light ahead, and I like to think that the recovery is going to be fast, but
Mm-hmm.
um, I'm probably not going to gamble on this one. I think I would save it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Definitely, saving in. And of course, if you can and you're in a good position, maybe taking a portion of that and giving towards a community, partner or something that can help out your neighbors. I know before this pandemic, one thing we had started was kind of like a unofficial do good fund.
Mhm.
Savings, usually we think about, oh, how can we protect ourselves and financial cushion? But that's something, maybe an advantage of keeping it temporarily in savings is, should something arise with family, friends, neighbors, you're in a position to help out, kind of like that example given with the air mask on the airplane, like take care of your finances, and then
Right.
you're in a better position to help someone else out if they go through something, volatile, or if something changes with their situation.
If you're in a
Yeah.
solid position, absolutely. I would say, look to your local charities and give some of that away. Those community websites that I mentioned
Mm-hmm.
a little bit earlier, talking about all the things that they're doing.
Yeah.
That same resource page talks about their needs as well.
Yeah.
So
You
people
guys
who
have been
have a
out
little bit of
there.
a little
Mm-hmm.
bit of means to give back, there are some great ways to give back there as well.
Yeah. And a lot of these organizations, I know, like the food bank, for example, like every dollar, I think it's a ridiculous amount of meals that can come out of every dollar donated. So I saw Coastal's been contributing quite a bit to the community, and it's much appreciated. Something else I've noticed that would be helpful for listeners and Coastal members in the area is, you guys have got some options. And one of the ways to relief is maybe skipping the payments. You mentioned that. Um, it was a nice feature. When I logged in, I noticed there was a little notification about that. But can you kind of go over, how does that skip a payment work?
Yeah, so you mentioned we do have a skip a pay program, which
Mm-hmm.
the fact that you're seeing it means that
Mm-hmm.
we've now automated it,
Okay.
which is a huge benefit to members,
Mm-hmm.
but it also lets us do our job way more efficiently.
Yeah.
So what we've done is we've implemented skip a pay inside of online banking, and members who have loans that qualify for the skip a pay
Mm-hmm.
program, when they log into online banking, they're presented with the option: do you want to skip
Mm-hmm.
payments on these loans? It's easy. All you have to do, check yes or accept, or however it's worded on there, and that's it. It gets
Yeah.
processed on the back end, and then your due date on those loans gets advanced by 3 months.
Oh,
Um,
wow. Nice.
Nothing further for you to do. You don't have to apply for it. You don't have to provide any additional documentation. There's no credit check on that. It's, you've got a loan that qualifies
Mm-hmm.
for skip a pay. And if you want to, then
Mm-hmm.
we'll push those dates out. So we're doing 3 months right now on those. For the most part, that is
Mm-hmm.
auto loans and some
Mm-hmm.
personal loans. We're actually working on adding lines of credit to that as well.
Yeah.
So that'll make it a little bit more available to people. Credit cards, if members have a credit card with Coastal, that's going to be automated as well. Now, credit card's a little different because it's not so much a fixed payment. So what we've done on that is members who have credit cards with us won't have to do anything. We're changing their minimum payment to 0 for the next 2 payment cycles.
Okay.
So their April statement that they would normally pay in May, and then their May statement that they would pay in June, those will both be a 0 minimum. So that would advance. So if they wanted to skip their next 2 payments, they could. Now, things like interest still accrue and stuff like that. But there's no penalty. It's no credit hit for doing that. It just gives people a little bit more cushion to ride out what's ahead of us.
Yeah, I think anytime you can give people some breathing room in their budget, it's going to be appreciated. So guys, if you are looking for a better banking option and you live in the Triangle area of North Carolina, please check out Coastal. I've been a member with Coastal for, I want to say 5+ years, and I've been really happy with their service. Not only are they having competitive rates on the regular accounts, but they are also helping out members and out there in the community. So thank you so much, Joe. I appreciate it.
No, certainly no problem. Always a pleasure.